Welcome to the Own Your Day AI podcast, powered by RescueTime. Here we turn RescueTime's blog posts into engaging conversations that help you learn and grow. Today, we're tackling a critical topic that affects nearly everyone in the digital workplace: the ongoing debate around remote work and employee surveillance. How are these trends shaping the way we work, and what challenges and opportunities do they bring? Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome back. It seems like a lot of you are interested in really getting into the nuts and bolts of remote work, specifically all this talk about employee surveillance.
Right.
So today we're going to do a deep dive into some material from RescueTime.
Okay.
And they're the folks behind that productivity software.
Yeah.
Around forever, like 17 years.
Wow, that's a while.
Yeah, and they've got some pretty strong opinions about managing remote teams.
Interesting.
So yeah, I think they're going to have a really unique perspective for us to dig into.
Yeah, absolutely. RescueTime definitely has a front row seat to all of this.
Right.
You know, I've been looking at workplace trends for years now,
Yeah.
from both sides, the employee side and the employer side.
Yeah.
And their approach, it really does stand out. It's interesting.
Yeah, you've been looking at how remote work impacts company culture.
Exactly.
And RescueTime, they offer this kind of provocative take on how to balance employee freedom
Yeah.
with, managerial oversight.
It's a tough one.
Yeah, so what's their take on all this?
Well, to really get them, you got to know their story. You know, RescueTime, it wasn't like some big corporate thing. It was just, a group of friends.
Okay.
And they were frustrated their own work tracking.
Oh, interesting.
They didn't want to be spied on.
Yeah, no one wants that.
No, they just wanted to know, where was their day going?
Makes sense.
So they built a tool for focus, not Big Brother.
Right, so personal focus, not for someone looking over your shoulder.
Exactly, yeah. And from the get-go, they've been all about flexible work.
Yeah.
They think if you trust people, give them autonomy, they'll be more focused,
Okay.
more productive.
Right, there's a ton of research on that, right?
Mm-hmm.
The benefits of being flexible.
Absolutely. Mountains of it.
Yeah.
RescueTime's own data, other studies, all saying remote work, when it's done well,
Yeah.
it can mean better focus, better productivity.
Remember a few years back when remote work really took off?
But yeah.
Less commute, less distractions, less micromanaging. Felt like a win-win.
It did for a while.
But, and this is where it gets kind of icky,
Uh-oh.
there's this trend now, companies backtracking on remote,
Yeah.
turning to these kind of creepy monitoring tools.
You're right. It's happening.
It's like, as soon as there's uncertainty, bam, some managers just go right back to command and control.
It's that old instinct, got to see what everyone's doing every second.
It's wild. RescueTime actually told me they get calls from companies wanting software to track every keystroke,
No way.
every click. It's like, do you want to know when someone gets a glass of water?
Seriously, it's nuts.
And the thing is, this urge to surveil, it goes against so much research.
Oh, totally.
Forbes, the GAO, even the BBC, they've all said surveillance just stresses people out.
It kills morale, tanks productivity in the end.
It's like shooting yourself in the foot.
Exactly.
I was reading about some companies trying outcome-based goals instead.
Right. Emphasizing trust, open communication.
What do you think about those approaches?
I think shifting to outcome-based goals, that's promising.
Yeah.
It means changing how we measure success.
Right.
Not just hours at a desk.
Right.
It's about, did they achieve something? What's the impact of their work?
Okay.
That builds trust, lets people manage their own time.
So where does RescueTime fit in all this? Are they just another surveillance outfit or what?
They're actually pretty strongly against that whole employee surveillance thing.
Really?
Yeah, they've even gone so far as to cancel accounts.
Wait, seriously?
When they find out employers are forcing people to use their software for tracking,
Wow.
without giving those employees control over their own data, it's a big no-no for them.
That's a bold move, canceling paying customers.
It is. Shows they're serious about this.
But is it enough?
Yeah.
What else could they do to make sure their platform is used ethically?
That's a good question. I mean, canceling accounts is a start for sure,
Yeah.
but they also need to be proactive, educate their users
Yeah.
about ethical data practices, provide resources,
Mhm.
training, help employers understand the downsides of all this monitoring,
Right.
encourage them to, try more human-centered ways of managing.
So more carrot, less stick.
Exactly, and transparency is key.
Makes sense. So what are they offering? It's an alternative to this constant tracking.
Well, they've developed this thing called RescueTime timesheets.
Okay.
It's aimed at managers who They want to be sure their teams are making progress,
Yep.
but they don't want to resort to, like, spying on everyone.
So are timesheets actually a solution or just a Band-Aid on a bigger problem?
That's a good one.
Could it still be misused, this system?
Yeah, those are all valid questions.
Yeah.
I mean, timesheets, they can be helpful for transparency, accountability,
Yeah.
but any system, right, it can be misused if the culture's not there.
The culture of art.
Trust and respect,
Right.
it doesn't matter what tools you have if you don't have that foundation.
So companies need to have clear rules about data, about monitoring.
Absolutely, regardless of what specific software they're using.
Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty of timesheets.
Right.
How do they work? Is it just like logging hours, or is there more to it?
It's a bit more than just, punching a clock.
Oh, yeah.
Rescue time timesheets, they aim to give everyone a clearer picture,
Everyone being
both employees and managers.
Okay.
They can see how time's actually being spent.
on.
Different tasks, different projects.
Okay.
Employees categorize their activities, track their progress, and managers get the big picture overview.
Without having to zoom in on every single minute.
Got it.
No one wants to feel like they're under a microscope, right?
Got it. So, do employees have any control over their own data with this?
Oh, definitely. That's crucial.
Okay, how so?
Transparency and control. Those are the key words.
Okay.
Employees, they see all their own data.
Uh-huh.
They choose what gets shared with their manager.
Okay.
Adjust the level of detail. It's about empowering people.
Okay.
Manage their own time, show what they're contributing without feeling like they're constantly being watched.
Exactly.
So it's more about being clear, accountable than micromanaging.
You got it.
And this could actually reduce anxiety for both sides. Right?
So, yeah.
Employees don't have to stress about remembering every little thing they did,
Right.
and managers get the info they need to keep projects on track.
And allocate resources properly. Yeah.
Makes sense. Now, lots of companies, they're worried about productivity with remote and hybrid work.
Big concern.
So how do timesheets play into that?
They can be really helpful for that, actually.
How so?
When you can see how time's actually being used,
Uh-huh.
you can spot bottlenecks or maybe where someone needs extra support.
So it's not just about the hours, it's what's getting done in those hours.
Yeah, and where things are getting stuck.
Right, and how to improve things.
Exactly. It's less about being present, more about performance.
Okay, we talked earlier about outcome-based goals. Some companies are using those to measure success instead of just tracking hours.
Right. Focusing on the results.
Can timesheets support that kind of approach?
Oh, for sure. They can be a great way to track progress towards those goals.
How so?
Well, employees can connect their activities to specific objectives,
Oh.
show how their time is actually moving the project forward.
Exactly.
It creates more transparency. Everyone's working towards the same goal.
This all sounds great in theory, but I'm curious about the day-to-day reality.
Sure.
How do timesheets actually benefit both employees and managers in their daily work?
For employees, it can help with time management,
Okay.
prioritizing even work-life balance. They
Right.
see where their time's going, spot areas where they're getting bogged down,
Right.
make adjustments to their workflow,
So it's like a self-awareness tool almost.
Yeah, and it helps them justify the time they're spending on things,
Okay.
show their value to the team.
Which is super important, especially when you're remote.
Oh, absolutely. It's harder to showcase your work when you're not in the office every day.
Right, right.
Now, for managers, timesheets give them insight into project progress,
Okay.
team productivity, resource allocation. They can see what's taking longer than planned,
Uh-huh.
spot potential roadblocks, adjust their plans. It makes billing and invoicing easier, too.
So it streamlines a lot of the admin stuff.
Exactly, freeing up managers to focus on strategy, supporting their teams.
Sounds like timesheets would be really helpful for small businesses
Mm,
and distributed teams, the ones with limited resources.
absolutely. They rely so much on trust and autonomy.
Right.
So having that visibility and accountability, it's crucial.
Yeah, okay. We've talked a lot about the good stuff with timesheets,
Right.
but gotta acknowledge there might be downsides to it.
Nothing's perfect.
What are some of the concerns people have raised?
Well, one big one is timesheets could create more admin work for employees.
Right.
If they're not designed well, integrated smoothly,
Hmm.
it can feel like just another chore.
Instead of a helpful tool.
Exactly. So the user experience is really important.
Right. If the software is clunky, it could backfire.
Oh, absolutely.
And there's the worry that timesheets, even if it's not the intention,
Could be used to micromanage people.
yeah, managers get obsessed with the data.
Start nitpicking every minute of someone's day.
It makes you wonder, is this whole surveillance push driven by fear?
Maybe.
Like they don't trust people to manage their own time.
It's possible. I think sometimes it's just not understanding how to manage remote teams effectively.
Right.
They try to recreate the office environment, but it doesn't really translate.
So we need to adapt our management style to this new world of work.
Exactly.
Trust our employees, let them do their best work wherever they are.
That's the key.
And timesheets can play a part in that, right?
They can provide that visibility, accountability that managers want while still giving employees the freedom and flexibility they need.
It's all about balance, isn't it?
It is. It's not surveillance versus trust. It's finding a way to have both.
Right. And having both in a way that benefits everyone.
Exactly. Create an environment where everyone feels valued,
Yeah.
respected, empowered.
Use technology to help us connect, not control us.
Precisely.
Speaking of technology, I know RescueTime has a free version of timesheets.
They do.
Seems pretty generous. What's the difference between that and the paid version?
So the free one is great for individuals, small teams,
Right.
just starting out with time, tracking, basic stuff, tracking time, generating reports.
Right.
The paid versions, they have more bells and whistles, project management, team collaboration, integrations with other tools.
So you can pick the level that fits your needs and your budget.
Exactly. And they offer a free trial of the paid version.
Nice.
So you can test it out before committing.
Always good to have that option. Now let's zoom out a bit.
Yeah.
I've talked tools, strategies, but what about the bigger picture?
The big picture, yeah.
What does all this mean for the future of work?
That's where things get really interesting. I think we're at a crossroads, you know? We have all this incredible tech, work from anywhere, collaborate seamlessly, automate the boring stuff.
Yeah, it's amazing what's possible now.
But at the same time, we're wrestling with these huge questions.
Like
trust, privacy, the very nature of work. What does it even mean anymore?
Right, it's a whole new world.
Will all this tech empower us or will it control us?
That's the big question.
Will it help us find more meaning in our work or lead to more burnout?
A lot to think about there.
A lot. And I think our listeners are going to have a lot to say about this too.
I'm sure they will. It seems like we're at this pivotal moment, right?
Yeah, turning point.
Tech is exploding, work is more distributed than ever.
Lines are getting blurry.
Between our work lives and personal lives, it's all blending together.
It is.
So where do we go from here?
I think the way forward is remembering something fundamental.
What's that?
Humans need autonomy,
Okay.
purpose, connection.
Right, it's not just about getting tasks done.
It's not. It's about more than that.
So we need to ditch those old command and control methods
They don't work anymore.
and find something more collaborative.
More flexible, more human.
You know, it's interesting. We've been talking about RescueTime specifically.
Yeah.
But this conversation feels much bigger than any one company or tool.
It is. It's a societal shift.
It's about the choices we make.
Individually, as leaders, as a whole society.
Right. So what kind of future do we want?
Yeah, that's the question.
One driven by fear, surveillance, pressure to perform constantly,
Or something else entirely.
or one where work has meaning,
Where it's fulfilling, where there's space for creativity.
powerful stuff.
Those are the choices we face.
And the answers, they're within each of us, aren't they?
I believe so.
We all have a role to play in shaping this future of work.
Absolutely.
We can stand up for our own well-being, set boundaries.
Prioritize what matters.
As leaders, we can build cultures of trust, transparency,
Empower our teams.
and as a society, we can push for policies that protect workers.
And create a more sustainable future.
You can feel overwhelming thinking about changing the world,
It can.
but it starts with small steps, right?
It does. Every conversation, every action, every choice we make,
Yeah.
it ripples outwards, contributes to the shift.
So we're not powerless.
No, we have more power than we think.
It's about taking back our agency, realizing we're not just cogs in a machine.
We can shape this.
We can be architects of a better future.
And it all begins with a simple question.
What's that?
What kind of world do you want to work in?
Huh?
What kind of world do you want to live in?
Let those questions guide us.
Yeah, let them guide our actions, our choices, how we engage with the world.
I think that's a perfect note to leave our listeners on.
I agree.
A question, a challenge, and a sense of hope.
The future's not set in stone
It's being written every day.
by the choices we make.
So let's choose wisely. Let's choose courageously.
Let's choose a future where work works for everyone.
Thank you so much for joining us today for this deep dive into remote work, employee surveillance, and the future of work.
It's been a great conversation.
We covered a lot of ground, but the key takeaway, I think, is this.
What's that?
We have the power to shape this future.
We do.
So let's get to work.
Let's do it.
Thanks for joining us on the Own Your Day AI podcast, powered by RescueTime. We're here to help you turn insights into action for a more productive and balanced life. Be sure to subscribe and visit our blog for more resources. See you next time.